All right, so in 4.10, our number one, it says graph using vertex form from y equals 1/2 plus x plus 2 times x plus 2 squared minus 3. Well, this is our first form we learned where it's a times x minus h squared plus k. So if I'm looking, this is my h and this is my k, and remember that this is the opposite, right, and this is the same. So my vertex is going to be h, which is -2, that's the opposite of +2, -3. So if I were to go to graph that, -2, -3 is right here. And so then looking at my slope is 1/2. So instead of going up 1 over 1, when I go over 1, I'm only going up a half. And then instead of going up 4 over 2, I'm going up 2 over 2 because I'm going up a half of 4. And this would be your equation, or well, this would be your equation graphed, right? That's all we're doing, vertex form. Very simple. Now, for number 2, it says solve by completing the square. Something you might want to write down if you have not already, that this is what you are going to use to complete the square, right? This is what you want to use. So if I'm looking at ax squared plus bx plus c, all right, you're using this b to fill in. So my b is 10. So when I want to complete the square, I'm going to have to use that. But first, I need to get my number to the other side. So if I have x squared plus 10x plus 21 equals 0, and I need to get that to the other side, I'm going to subtract 21 from each side. Then I get x squared plus 10x, and I'll leave that blank, equals, right, I'm going to have -21. Well, when I fill in my b squared, I get 10 over 2 squared, and that equals 5 squared, which equals 25. So I'm going to add 25 to each side. Now, when I add 25, this becomes a completely perfect square. It becomes x plus whatever b over 2 is squared. Well, b over 2, right, we decided that's 10 over 2, which can reduce to 5. So I'm just going to replace this with a 5, and that equals -21 plus 25 is a +4. Now I have to get x alone, meaning I can't have that guy. The opposite of square is a square root, so when I have x plus 5, I'm going to have plus or minus 2. 4 is a perfect square root of 2. Well, then I need to get x alone, so I'll subtract 5 from each side. So I get x equals -5 plus or minus 2. If I have the plus or minus, that means I have two equations. So I'm going to have to split this up into -5 plus 2 and -5 minus 2, which will give you a -3, right? Because it's more of them are going to be negative, and then this gives you a -7. So these are your two answers, -3 or -7. Now moving on to number 3, okay, I want to use complete the square, so I'm still using that b over 2 squared to write it in vertex form. This is considered standard form. It is not in vertex form. How I want to get it in vertex form is I want to get, again, the numbers on one side with the x and then 7 on the other. So I'm going to subtract 7 from each side. So I end up getting f of x minus 7 equals x squared plus 4x. Well, my a and b, I know my b is 4. So I have b over 2 squared, which I have 4 over 2 squared then. 4 over 2 squared reduces to 2 squared, which equals to 4. So I'm actually going to add 4 to each side. Well, -7 plus 4, I then have a -3, and that equals, well, this now becomes a perfect square. It becomes a perfect square of x plus b over 2 squared. Well, I know b over 2, right? So b over 2 is actually, well, 4 over 2, which equals to 2. So if I want to replace that, I can just have a 2 here instead of b over 2. So now I have x plus 2 squared equals f of x minus 3. Well, now I got to get f of x alone. So I'm going to add 3 to each side to get these to cancel out, and I get f of x equals x plus 2 squared then plus 3. And that is completing square and writing it in vertex form. Alright, so now let's move on to graphing. Okay, graphing using standard form. Remember, when we use standard form, we use the formula x equals -b over 2a. This might be another formula that you want to write down. So I have -b over 2a, my A is here, my B is here, my C is here. Well, my A is going to be 1, but my B is 4. So I have negative 4 over 2 times 1, which equals 4 over 2, which equals a positive, negative 4 over 2, which equals a negative 2. So I know that my x equals negative 2. If I have my x value, I certainly can find my y value. How do I find my y value? Well, I plug it in. So that means I'm going to have up here, and I'll do it above, I'm going to have negative 2 squared, right, plus 4 times negative 2 plus 7, which you end up getting this is a 4 minus 8 plus 7, which gets you a positive 3. Okay, so this is my y value. When I write my vertex is then negative 2, positive 3, so let's write that down, negative 2, positive 3, and my slope is my a. Well, I said my a equals 1. So if my a equals 1, then I'm going to be going up 1 over 1, and then up 4, which would be up here, and over 2. So this would be, not that, a little bit better. This would be my graph. Maybe draw a little bit better than I do. Now, let's move on to number 5. Number 5, this is something you're definitely going to see in your test. It says, which of the following functions is equivalent to f of x equals 1/2 x squared plus 6x plus 11? All right, well, what I'm looking at, this is in standard form, is it not? This is in standard form, and then all of these are in vertex form. Well, I can easily find the vertex. Can I not? I can easily find the vertex if I were to either complete the square or use my, b, negative b over 2a. There's 2 ways you can do it. I'm going to complete the square. So when I have f of x equals 1/2 x squared plus 6x plus 11, well, I'm going to then subtract 11 from each side so I can complete the square. I will get f of x minus 11 equals 1/2 x squared plus 6x. Then I'm going to factor out a 1/2. So when I factor out a 1/2, remember that I have to flip, skip, multiply. So I get f of x equal minus 11 equals, well, if I factor out a 1/2, I get x squared plus 12x. All right, and then this is where I'd probably want to complete the square. How I complete the square is, well, I use my b over 2 squared. My b is 12. 12 over 2 squared is 6 squared, and 6 squared is 36. So when I add a 36 here, I can't just add a 36 to the other side because I'm doing 1/2 times 36. So 1/2 times 36 is actually plus 18. So now if I simplify this, what I'm going to get is that f of x minus 11 plus 18, well, that actually gives me f of x plus 7, right? I have a positive 7. That equals 1/2 times, well, this becomes a perfect square. My perfect square is x plus 6 squared. That becomes my perfect square. Now, if I want to get f of x alone, subtract 7 by each side. So I get f of x equals 1/2 times x plus 6 squared, and then that is going to be minus 7. And what one does that have? Well, first of all, even when I had that right here, the negative 7, I can automatically cross off this, and cross off this. As you saw, everything else was the same. Everything else was the same. The only difference was the last part. And so it would be kind of hard unless you solved it for you to be able to guess on this one. All right, so that is page number 38 for review.